Would you like to know why you should stop drinking coffee and caffeine? Then listen to this whole video. Okay, so I dislike coffee. I don't drink it ever. Now, here's my argumentation for why I think coffee is not good for you. Okay, if you cannot get through your typical day or your typical daily schedule without drinking coffee, then something isn't right. Either your energy is too low or your schedule is too demanding. Because if you were to not drink the coffee, you would not be able to get through the day. And the coffee, I like to look at it is a sort of a sedative, or not a sedative, but let's just call it a drug, let's say, that gets you through that day. And without it, you wouldn't be able to do it. Hence, something's not right, because you should be able to glide through the day in a natural state of equilibrium with no strong substances, let's say. And you may think coffee's not a strong substance, but personally I think it is. And if this is an indication that, say, if you can't get through your day without coffee because you're just too tired or exhausted, you may have built up this sort of need for it, but it could also be that you literally can't get through it otherwise without coffee, without this energy boost. If you have that, I think it's an indication one needs to adjust something, like you may need to sleep more because your natural energy is too low to get through the day. You maybe need to exercise more because your body is weak, and if you exercise more, you build up this sort of bodily energy. You grow this like not a muscle, but if you aggregate your body, it becomes stronger, has more energy, hence it's like a stronger muscle. And maybe you need to take more mental downtime. You need to allow your brain, because just as much as your body, your brain also needs to recharge energy. It needs time to not be focusing. It needs time to regenerate. That's what it is. For example, through meditation, or not being on technology, like reduce the amount of information inputs that are shooting at your brain. Reduce that, and just be in a more peaceful environment, I would say. But I should have said this in the beginning, but I think the human is best when it is completely sober, when it is in a, let's say, undisturbed state of consciousness. I think that is healthiest on average. And that is, you may ask, well, okay, but you consume food, etc., and that also affects your body. I agree. But I would say I'm relatively conscious of my body and my brain, and I notice if something has a strong effect on me, I think. And if you, I try to consume food and, well, I don't want to say substances because it's not, I don't know if you want, I don't really consume the traditional substance, but food or water, I try to consume the type of food and water that has a seemingly low effect on the balance, not spiritual balance, but the mental clarity and bodily well-being balance on my body, that the effect it has. Because I think what you're doing, I think that's good. So I also don't drink alcohol, I don't smoke any substances, I don't drink coffee or caffeine or energy drinks. Actually, I barely ever drink a liquid that is not water. Because I think it hasn't, I think the human, on average, in the long term, functions best completely sober, I think. Because if let's go back to the coffee. If you're drinking coffee, you're basically putting your body in overdrive, and your heart's racing. Well, it forces you to stay focused for longer, which you wouldn't be able to do in a natural state, and that forces your body in overdrive, and you are actually, I think, using up more resources in your body and making the functions of your body depreciate faster because you're using it more intensively, and eventually that will catch up to you. Like your body will eventually notice that. And I think, drastically and a bit provocatively to say, well, I think, if you drink coffee, you potentially drugging yourself out to not feel the reality of how your body and mind feels. And you may also, Henry, which is my name, by the way, you're making it sound as if it's like a hardcore drug. No, it's not a hardcore drug, but I feel for myself, because I don't consume it, I become a lot more sensitive to it. And it feels like I really notice the effect of it, which I'll get to in a second. So if you deprive yourself of the substance, you become a lot more conscious and sensitive to it. Second argument why coffee, I think, isn't good to drink as a habit, well, or be dependent on it, is because it's a dependency. And anything you're dependent on will result in, I think, is suboptimal, let's just say. Why is it suboptimal? Well, just practically speaking, if you don't have it then, because eventually there will be a time when you don't have access to coffee, it'll make you, it'll be uncomfortable, let's say. Whereas somebody who doesn't drink it doesn't have that. And first of all, I mean, you'll probably save a fair amount of money if you don't have to buy a coffee every single day, at least once. Yeah. I think if you just look at the substance of what it is, the coffee, if you're drinking it with milk, with all these things, I think it's if you put it on a scale of nutrients that make your body depreciate faster, I think it's a substance which is comparatively higher up on the amount the rate it makes you depreciate. I don't know the science behind it, but I have this feeling. I might be wrong. And well, go back to the dependency. I mean, this is a bit of a tangent, going off on a tangent, but Buddhism states that your suffering state in life stems from cravings and urges for things, and a dependency is that you have an urge for coffee, and it'll make you. It'll. I don't want to say it'll make you suffer, because that seems a bit over the top, but to a degree it might. And for personal reasons why I don't drink coffee is because it makes me sweat, actually. I'm very sensitive to it. It makes my heart race and makes me just sweat more, and that's uncomfortable. I don't like it. And I'm very sensitive to it. It really gets my heart racing. I can tell you a story of when I did drink it. I had to do a university application exam back when I was 18 or 19, I think. I'm 22 now. Which I did very well in the exam, but I drank coffee and it made my heart go ballistic. I was in full focus mode during the exam. I was sweating like wild, and the effect of the coffee prolonged and into the night. I basically couldn't sleep because I still felt it within me. And mind you, I wrote the exam and drank the coffee in the morning up until lunchtime or so. So there you go. It's really, maybe I'm just very sensitive, but maybe I'm not just very sensitive. Maybe other people have built up this unnatural threshold for their ability to process the caffeine in coffee. And if we go on to caffeine, I deeply dislike energy drinks like Red Bull. And about a year ago, I was at a nightclub, and I had a friend of mine had a Red Bull, and I drank half of it because I didn't want to finish it. And my heart and I believe my blood pressure went nuts. I had to focus on not fainting in the club because it hit me so hard, and my brain was just focusing don't die, Henry, don't die. It was nuts. But that was the last time I drank an energy drink, and it just goes to show this. I don't know what it is exactly, whether it's the sugar, whether it's the caffeine, but I think one can group it into direction of drug, because it's so strong, the stuff. And because I used to drink energy drinks, not regularly, but I've had a lot, a fair amount in my past. I mean, apart from the last 2 or 3 years. And before that, it didn't really affect me that much, but when I stopped, the conscious effect of it was strong, was very strong, yeah. And see, when you stop drinking caffeine and a lot of sugar, your body, I believe, returns to sort of a natural state, which with a natural threshold and resistance to the caffeine and sugar, or the threshold to process it. And when you consume it again, caffeine or large amounts of sugar in liquid form, you really realize what effect it has on you, on the body and the mind, which you wouldn't feel, of course, when you drink it regularly because your body is used to it then. But I don't think that's a representative feeling of how the drink affects your body. No, because you're used to it. But if you deprive yourself, then you get back to your natural state and see what effect it has on you. And I really think if we reflect now in conclusion, why is caffeine maybe suboptimal? Because, I mean, it's a dependency, like a coffee habit. And if you can't get through your day without it, then there's something maybe probably potentially wrong with your energy levels or with your schedule. Both of which, if they exist, will depreciate your body and mind faster, in my eyes. Okay, so that was my video. I hope you learned something from my perspective on why drinking coffee maybe isn't that good, and caffeine, also energy drinks and sugar, excessive amounts of sugar. It wasn't really based on too much science. It's more of an opinion piece. I hope you learned something. Give this video a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to learn more about self-development and how to reduce suffering in life. Thank you for listening.